put your mic down? I think he put his mic down again. Oh. Jesus Christ. Hello?
Yo.
Oh, hey. Yeah, whenever you put your mic down, I don't know what's causing the interference. Is there like a blender or something next to it?
It's not putting it, it's just a really shitty setup.
Yeah. Anyways, now we got the audio working. So, hello everyone, and welcome to You'll Probably Agree. Today, once again, I have John Davies on, the only other guy on the planet I know who has seen the Clone Wars. And turn down your speakers a bit because I can hear my audio. Or is that me? Oh,
no, that's
shit.
me. I'm trying to hear you better, but I can't.
Haha.
There we go.
Yeah, I know what it is. No, I'm a dumbass. Oh, wait, that was you? Oh. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I think we're fine. I don't know. I think we're fine. We'll meet in the middle.
I heard, and then it stopped.
Yeah, no, my setup is so garbage.
That's all right. You'll probably agree takes place in a fucking dive bar, so it fits with the theme. Anyways, John, you're the only other guy on the planet I know of who's seen, like, Rebels and Clone Wars and all that other good stuff. And
I'm a Star Wars nerd.
Yeah.
You got me.
Full-blown Star Wars nerd. Like, you, me, and Dave Filoni is the other one I know of who, like, has seen all this stuff.
All areas held by separatists.
Like, everybody else is like, oh, this stuff's so lame and nerdy, but damn, are they missing out on some incredible world building? And the Bad Batch is filling in that plot hole I wanted to see so badly be filled. I don't know why it bothered me so much, but it did. I'm just like, the clones are such perfect soldiers. Why would you replace them with an army of idiots? And of course, as we were talking about last time, it was greed and stupidity.
Yeah. Well, this episode especially, like, answers that specifically. They literally ask that question in the episode, and you get the answer, from Tarkin himself, which is kind of awesome.
Yeah, he's basically like, well, you basically get it from the, you have Hunter, Wrecker, Echo, Tech, right? And then what's the name of the sniper who turned? That is a really Crosshair, that's it. I kept wanting to call him Scope or some shit like that. But
that's pretty close.
Yeah, so Crosshair basically, like, not only is he more subservient than the stormtroopers, who are basically just cheap replacements from people who are not only willing to help this new empire, but are people who are basically disgruntled soldiers, I think, of the former Republic, right?
Yeah.
Because they were replaced by clones in the first place, is that it? Or who were those guys?
For the number one reason is that they don't want to spend money anymore.
General Grievous has been spotted.
Yeah. They're done paying the Kaminoans, or Kaminoans. They're done paying those guys to do what they do, which is make clones, and I'm sure it's pretty expensive.
Well,
the clones are... They are technically unnecessary now because there is no longer a droid army for them to fight. Like, those two armies were created for the specific purpose of fighting each other, and the droid army's gone. That's been shut off. So the Empire's next move is to be done with the clones. Yeah. And we thought, like, going into this episode, we thought that was going to be just a switch that they were going to hit. And be like, we don't need these guys, destroy them all. But, after this episode, they're like, yeah, we can use them for a little while. So it's going to be like a gradual transition, which is kind of nice.
That's what I'm really happy about, that it's a slow transition, it's a story. Because they always just made it seem like an afterthought. I'm like, how is that an afterthought? Because, when you really think about it long term, I have some theories where the show could go. Like, in the final finale of the Bad Batch, which is going to be in season 2 or could be in season 25. Who knows? Like, how long they'll stretch it out, right? And basically, I think in the end it all revolves around what Crosshair's going through. Good soldiers follow orders. Well, guess what? Eventually, the clones stop following orders. I think the Bad Batch kind of gets them on their side. gets them to see the error of the Empire's way, how they were brainwashed, and then I think they begin to rebel against the Empire. But by then, the Empire, they've built their ships. They probably didn't need them anymore, and they just wipe them out, like, instantly, with a bunch of dumb stormtroopers who are basically more or less just collateral.
Yeah, I mean, we know, those of us who have watched, Rebels, it's set in the future from this show. Like, we know there are very few clones left. So we know we're going to get to that point. And when they meet up with Rex and Wolf and the boys, it's like, there's very few of us left. Like, how the hell is there just a few of you guys left? We're going to see how that happens. We're going to see some tragedy by the time whatever happens with this series. It probably won't be this season, but whatever happens with this series, we're going to see some pretty tragic stuff.
Well, we already saw some pretty tragic stuff this episode when Crosshair just flat out told his troops to murder a family, and sort of the horrible, creative writer in me, if you want to call me that, or maybe I'm just a horrible person. I didn't want someone to come in to the, on the corner of the camera while it was pushing in, the music was building up, and the soldiers were about to shoot the family. Like, I was worried some Jedi would save them or some shit like that. But no, they die. They kill them, and that's the shit that Filoni I'm sorry.
I mean, it's solid, it's raw, and it's not expected from a cartoon. And it really brought me to the first few minutes of Force Awakens.
Yeah.
It's just the brutality of this army, and that too. This is, the Empire's making the steps to go towards the First Order. I can kind of see that.
Yeah. Well,
once the clones are gone, First Order pops up, but that's down the road a bit.
History just repeats itself. But that's what I find fascinating about these cartoon shows, is they build things together that I don't think a live action show could do. You couldn't do Bad Batch with live action because you don't want to see Tamora Morrison, actually cloned. In a show about clones, it would just look weird. And this is a great way to fill in a lot of gaps that the hardcore fans care about. Most people aren't going to care about this stuff. But the hardcore like us, this is fascinating shit.
Yeah. I mean, this show is a little bit more than I was expecting. I do see them trying to tie in the 7, 8, and 9 sequel movies with this, and this is this is before Empire and and A New Hope, and this is so early that it feels like they're reaching and really doing what they did best with the first couple of series, and just bring all the Star Wars stuff together in ways that you didn't see coming. And I really hope by the end of the series we're going to be blown away by some really cool stuff that may make us want to watch the sequels again.
Well, yeah, the thing, I mean, there was so much to unpack when it came to the creation of the Stormtroopers. First off, what were those recruits that they had earlier on when Tarkin said, hey, these guys will do the job and they don't cost this much? And basically they went on this whole spiel about,
how did this happen?
I don't care about the Republic, they didn't care about me. Were those former soldiers that were just basically tossed aside in favor of clone troopers?
I must have really hit the nerve.
I think they're just mercenaries that the Empire went out and got.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about? The shock troopers? The new shock troopers?
Yeah.
Just kind of nice that they're introducing the shock troopers. We saw those in Rogue One briefly in the beginning. Oh, those guys are cool. All black uniforms. They have the weird gargly stuff on there when they speak.
Yeah.
Kind of nice to see the genesis of those guys and girls.
You get to see how the Stormtroopers are actually sort of how they evolved in a way. Because before they don't have the clone trooper armor, but they have the black undergarments that go underneath the Stormtrooper armor. Maybe we'll find out why they're just cheap, shitty plastic that they use. That's
well, I mean, we know.
Yeah.
We already know that.
That's true.
They're not worth saving.
Yeah.
And that's like one of the things that Tarkin said. Like he's really interested to see, people who are willing to join the Empire and do what they want to do, instead of people that are like grown to do it.
Yeah.
Phase 2 complete.
Exactly. It's basically like if all the crazy Capitol riot people were being given access to be in an army, created by like Trump's second administration if he had one. That's what the Empire's doing.
Takes a day off.
And the Empire is literally like based off of the Nazi Party, so you're not far off.
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
stormtroopers for a reason. They're called that for a reason.
Well, yes, exactly. That's the genesis.
With just that
Reconsider your
word.
actions.
So, yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's crazy stuff.
Yeah. It's so basically, yeah, it's interesting to see how they're actually kind of tying in some social commentary with that. It's like, hey, these guys are psychos, or they could be mercenaries, they could be someone else, but I want to hear what these guys think. I don't know if they are that bad, because when it came to killing the family, they didn't want to kill them right away.
One of them didn't, but
Yeah.
I dealt with that one.
Oh, that's true. One of them didn't, and then immediately Crosshair just shot him down. He's like, you didn't follow orders. Yeah.
And that's where he's gonna like stand out for Tarkin.
Yeah. Anyways,
There's
I was.
something.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Theatrics to a minimum.
I was just gonna say, like, there is something coming with Crosshair. Like, he's gonna be some kind of like super soldier or some kind of craziness.
Oh yeah, he's gonna be, I think, the show's main antagonist temporarily, until the bigger antagonist comes along, which is the Empire itself, which I think the clones try to fight against, but because they're like probably right underneath the hangar where like all the, let's say, Star Destroyers are, they just let out like a gigantic laser and kill them instantly.
When I would love to see a
glad to
clone
see you're
uprising.
enjoying
I would love to see that. The clones versus the Empire in this series, that'd be insane.
That was the thing I've always wanted to see. I'm like, I think something happened with the clone troopers. They didn't abandon a perfectly good army just to save money. They couldn't have been that fucking stupid. They must have had, there must have been other reasons. There's always other reasons to everything. Unless you're a complete moron and you live in a fantasy land. So, I think we're gonna finally see that reason, and yeah, if we see a clone uprising, holy shit, just cinematically that would be amazing.
Right.
And then they tie it in with the shows. You'd see like flashbacks of the clone uprising and shit like that. Maybe Obi-Wan like helped somehow.
And it would make sense that the Clone Wars didn't end when we thought they did.
Yeah.
Like maybe the Clone Wars like continue because the clones do, stage a rebellion against the
Empire.
The Empire that's trying to do what they're trying to do.
Now,
Uncle Pappy.
Yeah, because there's so many ongoing wars that we have in real life that we don't even realize are happening. We've been in Afghanistan for, 40 years? Far even beyond 9/11. And we're finally talking about getting out of there. So the Clone Wars could have ended just like in history. It could have just ended, let's say, a week before A New Hope came out. They could have gone down to that level, and it's like, okay, now all the clones are dead, and we have the stormtroopers, and that's when the Empire falls. Like, almost like a week afterwards, technically. Or a few days, I don't know, but to think of the possibilities, but, here's the funny thing about this show. At first, I'm like, why do I care about these side characters? Yeah, whatever. They got cool little personalities. But, leave it to Filoni. They know how to world build. And they know, like, oh no, when you see where this show's going, hardcore fans like you will love this.
Yeah.
And then we'll eventually bring in casuals when we reference this stuff like we did with Mandalorian.
Yeah, it's definitely got a lot of rewatchability too. Like I'm picking up on the second or third viewing, I'm picking up a lot of like little little stuff, and that's where I'm thinking like they are
How did this happen?
possibly
We're
trying to
stopping this.
tie in the sequel films
Yes. Now,
with this.
you told me.
Yeah, I think last week I think we talked about possibility of Ray or like a Ray prototype. But I have changed my mind. I'm not going to say what it is, but you go ahead
No.
and say what
Okay.
you were thinking first.
You want me to
'cause I
go
don't
first,
wanna,
or should I go first? You go first.
No,
I go
you
first.
go first.
Nice.
I don't want, yeah, because I don't want to change your mind before you say
Right.
what you have to say.
Okay, so there's a little scene that happens in this episode where there's a dragon and Omega, the little girl that is basically like a little like copy of the clones, but a female and a child, who probably is unaltered like Boba, I'm guessing, who probably in the end isn't a clone, but John was telling me last week he thought she was Rey, and something happened this week that sort of reinforced that for me, which is, well, first off, then how old is Rey really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, if it is Ray, then we do know that they can change the lifespan
Well, that's what I was
of
thinking.
these clones.
Maybe
and,
she's not human. Maybe her lifespan is longer. Maybe there's much more to her than we knew. But anyways, that's something for the writing department to listen to when they watch this show. But they had this dragon that's injured, or not injured, but as a threat, and it's in a cave that Omega goes into in order to retrieve a piece of intel that the Bad Batch need for. I think in order to get off of a planet that we crashed into, that old thing.
It was a part that the dragon stole.
Yeah.
The dragon stole one of their batteries, basically, and she had to go get it.
Yeah, so she gets it, the dragon's screaming at her, it's gonna hurt her, but then she notices, I think that it wasn't screaming at her, or it wasn't a threat, I'm not sure, but she just kind of gave it a flashlight to chew on, instead of the battery. And I think they could connect that to the whole scene in Rise of Skywalker, where Rey sees the injured dragon and then she heals it with the Force. And again, she could, because she's a clone and they could expand her lifespan, this could all be little hints that this is actually, there was something more to that scene than we thought, which there wasn't, but same like how Filoni made there more to be with the prequels than it was, that's what he's doing here.
Yeah, initially I was right there with you. I really thought that that Omega was either Rey herself, like that was the first thing that popped in my head, or a prototype for Rey. But now, honestly, I'm thinking that she is Captain Phasma.
Oh, God. What? Why
And
is she Captain Phasma?
Because she is like a clone. She's an enhanced clone. She eventually does grow up. Maybe she has, like, as we see her now, maybe she's 20, 25 years old. Like, she's called Omega, but maybe she was one of the first. And that's, I don't know, now that I'm, like, reading more into this show than I probably should, that's where I'm going with it.
That's somewhere
Like,
they
by
could
by
take
the end
it.
of it, yeah, like by the end of this series, the Empire gets her and just pulls her back into the fold and gives her some really cool silver armor and a staff, and here you go.
Yeah, but then how did she become such a weak soldier where, like, she was easily used in the sequel?
That was the director's fault.
Yeah, they'll write something in to fix it.
Yeah, Force Awakens, she was a pretty solid character.
Until they threw her in the trash compactor.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I'm thinking I'm going with her. Because if she is recaptured by the Empire by the end of this series, they can pull her back into the fold and click her chip in her head. I'm sure she's got something.
Oh, so she just became a dumb normal soldier.
We must stand against them, brothers.
Or she hasn't been like activated yet.
Yeah.
You know, she's just now learning how to track. She's just now learning how to do, you know, use weapons. The first time she picked up a weapon, she was good with it. She hit Crosshair's gun. Very first time she pulled the trigger.
Yeah. I'm gonna guess what would happen is, like, if she were to be Phasma, I don't think she is, but that's something they could certainly cater something, like some fans aside from us, you know, someone who gets a larger viewership until YPA really blows up. But they get, like, some people hear about that, they go, hey, that's a cool idea, we should make that Phasma, because people didn't like the way she was treated in the movies, and they'll write like a whole backstory behind her, right? But yeah, it would be interesting to see how, yeah, it would be like, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the book Flowers for Algernon, but
No, I'm not.
it's basically a story about a man who's born, you know, with severe mental deficiencies, who is given this experimental brain surgery where he becomes brilliant, right? But then at the end of the story, he begins to regress again to his initial state, you know, from birth. So, with that sort of message, imagine what they would do with Phasma, where she was created a clone, she was made to be superior, right? But, like Django, she was made with various attributes, you know?
Yep.
And with those attributes, it made her a little different. So they wanted to adjust that at the end.
Yeah.
But
and
then,
it's becoming clear that she is an enhanced. Like, we knew that at the beginning, but it's becoming clear that she's just as good as the Bad Batch, just as good as those four.
yeah.
She
So
has
then-
all of their traits and probably some more.
Yeah, so then what do they do to her to regress her to, you know, it's like they almost give her like a lobotomy in a way. and like that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about the ending of Shutter Island more than we're talking about Flowers for Algernon. And I think that's what's gonna happen. Like they basically give her a lobotomy, but they do it through like, you know, like a cool laser thing like they did with Crosshair.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like that way the fans who thought, or guys like us who thought, oh man, this would be a cool character, and then, you know, they just made her into a joke. Like,
I mean, they might not even need to do anything aside from get her back to Camino and throw her in one of those chambers and activate her chips.
yeah,
You know, do whatever they're doing to Crosshair, just do it to her.
yeah,
That might have been the plan all along.
yeah,
Palpatine knows what he's doing. You know, she's there for a reason. She was created for a reason.
yeah.
And it's not to work in a lab on Camino. I know that.
Oh no, there's gotta be a greater reason for her beyond that. Again, she could be, you know what she really could be if you really think about it? Let's go back to, let's like not even be as creative as we are. Let's just kind of go into the standpoint of Disney's writing room using the most generalized cool thing you could to like world build. Well, how do we want to make people like this trilogy that, you know, obviously a lot of people don't like? Well, we gotta connect things. So, what if Echo is basically one of the first like clone versions of people they did as research to make a new Palpatine, or with Palpatine's, she could be a copy of what Rey is gonna be later.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was my initial thought.
yeah,
That she was either Rey directly or a prototype
yeah,
for what Rey is, you know, what are you going to do with that?
or a prototype of Palpatine's clone, explaining why he
Yeah.
was cloned. You know, because like that made no fucking sense at all while he was there. I think they would more likely go in that direction. Like if we can
I mean,
build,
and
an
we know it
individual-
can't be Rey because that like ignores the dumbass story that they gave us. But I
Oh,
just want to
yeah.
ignore it. I just want to ignore that.
You're actually a Palpatine.
yeah.
Oh, like yeah,
Whatever.
you're
Whatever.
actually
No.
a. They should have look. I didn't like
gotta
the
think out
Last
loud,
Jedi,
Matthew.
but you know, if you're gonna go in a different direction, then just stick with it. Have Kylo a bad guy. Kylo run the bad guy to the end. Make Rey a nobody. And see where the story can
Draw
go.
them in. Nice and easy.
Yeah, but
At
anyway,
that
we'll
level, I
get on track.
respect the movie. I just don't like how they did it.
And getting back to
Good
the
exercise for some of the
Bad Batch. I'm kind of digging how like Wrecker is showing signs that
You seem a little on edge.
his chip might
I
start
haven't felt you like
to
this.
work, so we have to like keep our eye on him. It's like, oh, I bumped my head in the crash or whatever. It's like, no, you didn't. Dude. There's something going on with your chip.
Oh, what happened?
Something weird happening.
I know he said he hit his
Wrecker?
head earlier at the beginning of the episode, yeah.
Yeah, but he kept pressing the exact same spot. He kept pressing the chip spot, which we saw where they took it out of Echo, and
Well,
I think we see Rex's scar and Wolf's scar, so those guys have it. It's gone.
of the
Yeah,
Bad
that's where
Batch.
he's. Yeah, Wrecker from the Bad Batch. We have to.
No, I was gonna say of the Bad Batch that we saw in. I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, it's alright.
Hey. Of the Bad Batch that we saw in Rebels, who were the ones that were actually there? Was Wrecker among them?
Jedi's patience only goes so far.
Were they in Rebels? I think they just
Yeah.
showed up at the end of the Clone Wars.
Yeah, in
The last season
Rebels,
of the
like
Clone Wars.
remember, like they were helping out, and Ahsoka knew them, and
Well,
they were helping. What's that Bad Batch? Yeah. Some of them was. Some of them were. No, some of them weren't the Bad Batch. One of them was actually Rex.
yes, well, this battle
Yeah,
scares me.
no, that wasn't the Bad Batch. That was just regular clones.
Oh.
Rex and Wolf and like one or two other dudes. That was not the Bad Batch.
Oh, okay. So none of the guys in the Bad Batch were there with them.
No,
It was just
they made
Rex.
their debut at the end
Army or
of
not, you must
the
realize
Clone
your
Wars. But I think it was like one of the last few episodes of the
Dude,
final series or season.
If none of those guys from the Bad Batch is in there, they can do whatever they want. And you're right.
Yeah.
If Rex is scratching that like chip, or Wrecker, I should say, is scratching that chip on his head, then yeah, they might end up just all killing each other, or they join the clone uprising and they die like in that, and it's just a tragic ending to the show.
That's what I'm thinking. Like I'm thinking there's heartbreak and tragedy. Like they've set it up by murdering a family in the third episode, so it's
Yeah,
holy shit, where the hell are they going with this show, man? It's,
like oh my
there's gonna be some
god,
crazy stuff.
yeah, like we're getting this dark. Okay, yeah, they're already doing that in the third episode, which is funny because
there
go
was
ahead.
children on that ship. There was women on that ship. They killed the pilot immediately to ground that ship before it could leave. So it's like they are not messing around with this series. They're just like, we're gonna give you all of the crazy ass Star Wars that we could give you, or that we have given you in the Clone Wars and Rebels, and we're gonna make it brutal. But yeah, when those shock troopers open fire on that ship full of kids and women, you're just like, holy shit.
Yeah, I really am
one of
like,
them has
please
a
don't have a
flamethrower.
Jedi save him. Please don't have a Jedi save him. And then when they open fire, I'm like, yes! Like, I mean, I feel bad for them, but yes, they're going there. They're not fucking around in the writing department.
Yeah, they're setting up for some brutal stuff down the line.
I think years from now, the ending of the Bad Batch, like how we viewed the ending, we're gonna think the ending of Clone Wars was sad, but Jesus Christ, imagine like your entire race finally standing up for itself. Imagine if like it would be like if civil rights ended, but everyone who stood up for civil rights was executed. It's gonna be like that. Like everyone's freedoms are stolen away. And because the clones finally, once in their life, didn't follow the exact orders that they were given, and the Bad Batch helped lead them to that revolution, it's going to be like the ending of Toy Story 3, where they're all holding hands going towards the fire, but unfortunately, they get set on fire.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
That's what we're going to get, man. But, yeah, I mean, we go to that second episode. It's kind of like a complete... Oh, my God. I am an idiot! I spawn. Oh, but I still have points to spawn. Woohoo! I spawned as Yoda, and then I jumped straight into the hole and died.
Nice.
But like I was saying, yes, right, Yoda. Dark side. I think the second episode is such a stark contrast because that one's like really light and kind of happy, and it's about, I guess, like Echo is taken over to, what is the name of that clone trooper from the Clone Wars? Well, actually, you want to explain what the episode was a little bit?
Episode 2?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know what happened. I don't even remember. The third one's pretty fresh because I watched it twice today. What happened in the second one?
See, and that's exactly how I felt about the second episode.
I mean, we said that when we opened up the show. You know, it was like
Yeah.
the first filler episode. It really didn't feel like anything happened, really.
Yeah, like the only thing that wasn't filler is that you find out Echo tags along with the clone troopers, and that's where she wants to be. But actually, no, when I rewatched this...
You keep calling her Echo.
Oh, did I call her Echo? I'm Omega! I'm sorry, Omega. Echo's the, what, is he the robot guy?
Yeah, he's the one from the Clone Wars.
Yeah, yeah.
The
Gotcha, yeah.
unadvanced clone.
Yeah, he's the
With all
robot
bolts in his
guy.
head.
Yeah. It's hard to remember them. It's like trying to remember the Seven Dwarfs. You know, it gets very confusing. Basically, it's funny. This show does have a lot of Disney-esque elements about family and stuff like that. You ever notice how every Disney show and every Star Wars show is about orphans and family?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this one is no exception. It's following the same beats, and I'm not going to complain about that because, holy shit, I killed a lot of people. I'm not going to complain about that because, you know, that's Disney's forte, and it works. And yeah, you can do so many exciting things with Omega that would really make this show excel. But the thing is, I remember that last episode, I felt like it was forgettable. Oh my god, do not jump in the hole. I felt like it was forgettable, but at the same time, when I rewatched it, there was actually some stuff that was really sort of interesting in it. Because, remember, like, I think it was maybe season 2 or 3 of the Clone Wars, we find there's this one clone that actually stopped serving, stopped fighting, and he built a family for himself. So those clones, yeah. So those clones went back to that guy and tried to have him adopt her, but she didn't want to stay with him, so she ended up staying with them.
It was basically the same episode of The Mandalorian where they went, like he tried to drop off Grogu to that one group of people.
Yeah.
It was like the same thing, and they were like, "Oh, we have to defend this place real quick." It's like, "Okay, help us." Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, no, I'm going to leave, but I'm not leaving Grogu. I'm taking Grogu with me. I'm not leaving Omega. I'm taking Omega. It was like the same episode.
Yeah.
Now I remember because I have seen it. I have seen that one more than once.
Yeah. And I think the reason we don't remember it is because it's just so similar to some of the material.
Yeah.
Like, and here's the thing: I don't mind the orphan material. But I do mind episodes that are strikingly similar to one another, where you just can't help but kind of like roll your eyes and go, "Oh my God, why are they doing this?" You know.
Well, it kind of makes me look forward to episodes that are coming that we know are coming that are going to be just like the Ice Spider episode from Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Like it's like partially filler. There might be some cool stuff in it. That might be episode 3, what we're talking about. Even though there is a lot of really cool stuff in this one, but we know that's coming, and that's okay.
And I'm fine
There's cool
with that
stuff.
because it's a cartoon and it looks like it takes a lot of effort to make, but it's not like making like a full-on fucking Pixar cartoon or something. You know,
And these
so
ones are
like
here
they
for a
have the
reason.
room to fill that in with filler.
Yep.
And if you have like 20-some episodes a season, I'm not going to complain about filler.
No.
If you have like
And
6 episodes, then I'm going to be like, why are you wasting my time?
And it's not necessarily they're going over stuff. They do have to remind you of things. You know, I had forgotten that a clone had left the army and gone and gotten a family. I forgot about that. But, you know, episode 2 reminded us about that. You know, it's like, oh, they can actually make their own choices. Like, okay, cool. Let's see what happens. Murder in the 3rd episode, balanced out by cool, nice family stuff in the 2nd episode. Let's see what happens in episode 4.
Just like the Force, it's all about balance. You give me the light, fun stuff, but then you also gotta give me like the heavy, dark stuff. Because if everything's just heavy and dark, it's like if Zack Snyder directed Star Wars, that wouldn't be a lot of fun. We
don't need that.
Yeah, like, do you really want like crazy slow motion shots of Darth Vader killing people again? Didn't we already get our Darth Vader killing people fix with the Rogue One movie? Which I have to say, Rogue One, I might be in the minority. I love the ending space battle and all that, but it's contrarian to what Star Wars is really about, which is about, it's just a family soap opera in the end. It's space soap opera, and that movie was just all about the spaceships and fan service. And you know what? Clone Wars isn't a soap opera. That's more like almost high drama, but with the right. It's an epic. It's high drama epic because it's all about a war, and it's all about a piece of history, almost from like a history book. It's like the new expanded universe, but it's all done through children's writing, but with dark subjects like, murdering families, individuality, civil rights, imperialism, being brainwashed. All of that's there. And I have to say, I'm really, really impressed by this 3rd episode. Because when I read the description, it said, the Bad Batch is stranded on a planet, where the ship crashes. I'm going, oh, great, it's the Ice Spider episode. It's going to be one of those. They did have an episode like that, I know, in Rebels, where they landed on a ship, but that's when they brought in, I don't know the name of the character, I just know that he is the Imperial guy with the sideburns, and it looks like he works in a record store.
Callus. I love that dude.
Yeah.
I really love that dude.
Yeah.
Hoping season 3 of Mandalorian gives us him finally.
Oh, I'm sure they will. Mandalorian live action. Now, that's the thing I was going to say is I love how these cartoons gets us excited, and then we get, like, fucking thrilled, like, when this shit comes on live. When we see Ahsoka on live action, like, it's not just... Here's the thing. There's a difference between fan service and fanboy service. I'm okay with fan service. Ahsoka, she ties into the story. It works well. Fan service. Alright. Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. Fanboy service. The second act of Force Awakens. Fanboy service. There's a difference. If it's not really expanding a story, and it's just calling on references, you're making Mortal Kombat. You're not making a movie.
Pretty much,
yeah. But having said that, I want to see where they're gonna go. Where do you think they're gonna go for this season?
This season, I think, is all going to be about Crosshair and how he still fits in with the Empire. Honestly, like, we're all focused on Omega and the rest of the Bad Batch, but after this episode, I really think that it's going to be like him taking over as leader of the clone army in Grievous's stead, and just be like, you know what? He is a badass. Let's just give him the army. Why not?
Yeah. He'll do any fucking thing we say.
Yep.
Why, our brain implants worked great on him. Use that implant and just put it on every other clone trooper.
Even when he was like on the team and like still a quote unquote good guy as part of the Bad Batch, like he was such a jerk. Like you could totally see this coming.
Yes.
We didn't really get that much about him in the first episode or that much in the Bad Batch, but he was just, I don't know, there was something about him that rubbed me the wrong way from second to one when he opened up his mouth.
Yeah, it's probably because of the way he speaks, because he sounds like Clint Eastwood, pretty much, He's like a Clint Eastwood stormtrooper. And the thing we know about guys in the Wild West is that they can't be trusted. It's every man for himself. And that's his sort of persona.
He's a tail rider.
Yeah. Yeah, that's. But here's the thing. Well, I was thinking he could have like an incredible redemptive arc, or not a redemptive arc, but like a tragic fall. He works with these, with this empire to basically wipe out the clone troopers. But at a certain point, even the implants in his brain that they put in other clones' brains don't work. And he begins to feel the guilt for the things that he's doing. It begins to get to him. And I think we're going to get a hint of that beginning to get to him by the end of this season. Maybe. Because then you could really flesh out that character. And we can flesh all of them out.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think the next episode is going to be... Episode 4 might focus on Wrecker and what's going on with it. Like, his chip is, like, bugging him.
Yeah.
I really think that we're going to focus on that.
Yep.
Like, we know that these chips are in these clones. They're just not working the way that they were designed to. They aren't working in the way, that they're working for every other clone. Where it's just like, Order 66, and then they turn around and blast any Jedi they see. Like that, they're like, yeah, I heard it, but I don't really understand it. Like, what the hell's Order 66?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. They're going to be like, what was that? And maybe at the end, I don't know, do you think Crosshair is going to have somewhat, not of a redemptive arc, but he's going to be well, maybe he does. Do you think he will have a redemptive arc? Could he be a tragic, character like, John Walker was, the Chief Captain America replacement. Yeah.
I don't see that with this dude. I think he's just like, I don't want to say evil, but he's just going to do his job.
Yeah.
And his job now, after he's been in and out of that machine that has tweaked his his data chip or whatever the thing is that makes him do Order 66. Like, he's been in and out of that machine and had that thing dialed up a few times, so
yeah.
All he's going to do now is like whatever Tarkin wants. Eventually when we see Vader, he's going to be like Vader's right-hand dude.
Now, are people always that old? Was Peter Cushing really... Did he really look like that 20 years before he was in Star Wars? Because, like, in Clone Wars, he looked so fucking old. I'm like, how the hell are, like... Yeah, I didn't know that he was, like Darth Vader was basically a fucking teenager when he knew him. And he looked a goddamn same. Sorry, that's just something that bugs me.
And you hang out in space, you don't age as you would if you hang out on a planet.
He could just be another species and we don't know it. That's how you always write that shit in, right?
He might not be human. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe he's Alpha. Maybe he's the first clone. Who knows?
Yeah. If I know one thing about Disney, I don't think they like to paint straight up villains. Well, no, you know what? They could. I have a feeling when Echo begins to feel at the end of the season regretful, no matter what these guys did, it's going to be a taste of what's going to come at the very end of the show, which is the uprising. I know. Last week we were obsessed with Rey. Now we're obsessed with the uprising. Yeah, and you know what? A lot of times our predictions don't happen.
Yeah.
But
I was thinking that too. Like, we've been way off on a bunch of stuff that we thought was going to happen. I'm cool with being way off, and I'm cool with like surmising about what happened, and I'm also cool with just whatever the hell they want to do. Man, I trust Filoni and Phage. I trust this situation.
Yeah.
I
don't think he's individually writing the show, but he gave it to guys that he could trust because he's just too busy with, everything else. But I mean,
think it's mostly Filoni running the show on this one.
Yeah. I think at the end, like, they run it by him, and they're like, what do you want to do? And he's like, well, I think it would be a cool idea if you do this. And they're like, oh, that's great. And, it'll be kind of like that. Because that's the great thing about this show. You could tell it's, like, written by fans, who, grew up on this shit, but were fans of, like, the prequels and everything, but also understand why people don't like some elements of them. And that's why it's really worked. It's like, this is like the prequels, but with good writing.
Yeah.
It makes the Clone Wars something so much more than the Clone Wars. It's like, yeah, the dumb part of the Clone Wars is done, where you have to fight the stupid robot army, but wait until the clones fight the Empire. There's so much to unpack, but I'm cool to see what they're gonna do with it. I'm really cool and very curious to see. But you know what? I was gonna say we might be off with our theories, but one of your theories was actually proven correct, which was they were talking about how, and I think I can even pull this up, how Alfred Molina was going to come up again. And,
oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like dead on about that.
You were dead fucking on.
You're going to see girders flying around. He's just going to pop out of the water all wet. Be like, where the fuck is Peter Parker? That's exactly what's going to happen.
Yo, I swear to, I got to show this.
Dude, I can't wait.
Yeah, no, I got to show you this. Molina, Spider-Man. So I'm going to pull this up. Actually, if you go on, when you see this later, you'll see. I'm actually showing like the whole audience. All right, so Alfred Molina returning as Dr. Octopus.
That's funny.
Basically, like, John predicted, I bet when Doc Ock or Alfred Molina comes back in the new Spider-Man film that crosses all the Spider-Verses, he's going to come back dripping wet, and he just transported from that water. And then Alfred Molina, in like an interview, straight up said, yeah, I basically come back and I'm dripping wet and it came from the water. I'm like, oh my God!
Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And I saw a little article recently where it said that Tom Holland wasn't even aware of Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire on set for the new movie. It's like they don't tell him anything anymore. That is hilarious to me.
Oh my God, it's
whether
hilarious.
or not that's even true, it's just like I hope it's not true. I mean, because that's just so hilarious. It's like I have no idea if those guys are working with me. Like they just don't tell him anything.
Yeah, because they don't want him to spoil the fucking thing again. Like, Jesus Christ.
I love him so much, dude. Seriously.
Like, I swear to God, like, Tom Holland doesn't sneeze out COVID. He sneezes out spoilers.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, but, yeah, having said that.
1 out of 50 guesses of, things that could have happened. I'll take that Alfred Molina one and run with it.
Yeah.
That's a solid guess.
Oh, my God. Yeah, I can't wait to see that happen. Yeah, so of our wrong guesses, we could get some shit right. I bet we'll get I swear to God, I think the uprising is going to happen. It has to be. I'm like, they had to have murdered him because they couldn't have just died off in 20 years like nothing. They didn't really have that. Did they have accelerated aging like that much? Were they like fucking Solid Snake?
I mean, I think the Kaminoans can do whatever they want.
Yeah, so they could have probably just like had him age off and die, which I hope that's not the case. I hope the Empire is like, I hope like Tarkin doesn't walk into a room. He's like, accelerated aging, and they're like, but they'll only die within 2 years. Exactly my point. My new army will replace all of them. I hope they don't just do some shit like that. That would be fucking lame.
I think you're right that there's going to be clones versus clone troopers.
Yeah.
I mean, it might even be clones versus clones.
Dude.
If a handful of them, like Rex and his friends, and the Bad Batch all team up. That's what I'm thinking I'm seeing.
It could be both. I think it could be
somehow
both.
Figure out, like, Tech, who's one of the Bad Batch. He's the smart Bad Batch.
All
like,
right.
everything's obvious to him. Like, I think he figures out a way to adjust the chip. And he can quote unquote save some of the clone army from itself. That's what I'm kind of feeling. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm open to whatever.
That would I think I'll take our fan theories and raise them even higher with trying to tie everything into the sequels. What if they try to tie Finn's dad or some shit in with the stormtroopers?
That'd be nice.
Yeah, and then we could finally get some character development from Finn through the animated series. Obviously, Finn wouldn't have been around back then, but they could do something with his family and tie that in there. Because, someone in Disney, either as Kathleen or someone, very politely told Dave, "So Dave, do you want to rewrite another Star Wars film?" And Dave went, "Yeah, I guess so. That'd be fun." Like, okay, fix this. Okay, thanks, Kathy. And then that's how that meeting went. Holy shit, I can't believe I survived that. I just survived. I just like fucking hovered over like a gigantic like crush trooper or whatever, the super battle droid. They kept trying to shoot me and I just nailed them in the fucking head.
Here we go.
I don't have ADD. Alright. Anyways, having said that, I think I'm excited to see where they go, but I think I kind of unpacked all my thoughts for this episode. And I think, do you have anything you wanted to add about it?
No, I mean, not really. I'm excited to see what they're gonna do. Not only with this series, but I mean, are they gonna squeeze another series out of this? 'Cause they can literally do anything they want. Between this and Rebels, there's a long time because Caleb / Kanan is a child in the beginning of the series. And the first time we see him in Rebels, he's a grown-up person. So they can do what, 20 years of the show if they want to.
Yeah.
And give us 20 years of cool fill-in story Star Wars stuff. So.
And guess who could play the live-action Caleb?
No joke, brothers. We are fast running out of time.
Freddie
We need
Prinze
to
Jr.
finish this.
Yeah, exactly! Just get Freddie Prinze right on the screen.
Just get him to do it. Yeah, why not?
He'll do it.
Live action? Oh my god, that would be awesome.
All right.
A live action game? Okay.
Giuseppe's just called
At
out
the
a
end of this podcast, I'm gonna send you. Actually, fuck it. Let me. Where's my
Hikers are in
phone?
retreat.
I gotta send you this. Okay, good. Here it is. I gotta send you this thing that Freddie Prinze Jr. said about the about Star Wars. It's
Droids
so
have regrouped at these
freaking
positions.
good.
That's where we'll attack next.
Freddie Prinze
Let's move,
Jr.
boys.
And I honestly didn't really I didn't realize watching that first episode who Caleb was. I was like, why would they cast the same voice actor? It's like, oh shit, that's Kanan. That's why. You know, after I watched the episode, I was like, what? Did a little research. I was like, oh shit, okay, because I'd forgotten that he changed his name or whatever.
Oh my god. Yeah,
So
I
it was
didn't
just
know
like
that
a
was Freddie
nice
Prinze
surprise
Jr.
that they put that scene that we all were like, oh shit, Order 66, and it's the scene that we did see is connected to Rebels. So
Yeah.
as soon as this series is done, I'm gonna rewatch Rebels, and I'm so excited to rewatch Rebels.
Oh my god, that's what they do that works. Oh my god, don't jump off the cliff. No, that's what they do that works, man. Is that they connect all this shit to other things and makes you rewatch it like a fucking Christopher Nolan film. And you just want to be like, oh my god, where are they gonna take this? It's all about world building, baby. And guess what? That's why George hired Disney. Because guess what? Even if they fuck up a little bit with the sequels in the beginning, I'm still going to give Kathy that chance because she's doing a good job with these shows. She's doing a good job with The Mandalorian because she's giving it to Dave Filoni and guys know what they're doing. And it's not just her and the committee. And, I mean, it is a committee in the end. Don't talk to me like I'm a committee! But...
And with, like, the way that they're doing it, doesn't feel like they're doing it just for a money grab. Like, they are doing some fan service stuff to make us happy.
And to make them happy, because they're fans. They're like us, talking right now.
Exactly.
They're just like, where the fuck is Ray gonna go? Like, hey, what if we make it like about her? That'd be fucking dope.
Because any schmo with $1 billion can make some Star Wars, but these people actually care about it. You can see it.
Yeah.
And that's what,
Yeah.
I don't want to say it like impresses me, but it's like, damn, finally.
Yeah.
It's nice. It's really nice.
Well, the nice thing is with Clone Wars, how I said before, how it's a television medium. I mean, they let Filoni screw up for a bit in the beginning, but boy, look at the results when you let an artist keep working on something over a long period of time. And the results are just, just beautiful. And I know I'm giving this thing like glowing praise right now. Like, is it like that great? I don't know. That second episode, that was like some of my favorite Star Wars I've seen in a while, honestly. Like, I really thought, like, oh, this is, it really, like, outside of the Mandalorian, like, ending that made me, like, cry like a baby. Like, we're getting good shit. Like, this is a good time to be a Star Wars fan. It's like, let the dumb sequels come out, and then let television do the real deal. Because here's the thing, shows like this would never have existed like when we were kids. Like, yeah, maybe they would have had like 2D cartoons and shit, but it wouldn't have been on the massive scale that it does. But now with streaming and all this other stuff, like, people can see all the Star Wars stuff and just fucking binge it. And you can get high quality products just like the Bad Batch, a little animated series with 3D animation. When we were kids, 3D animated shows looked like fucking shit. You ever see Beast Wars? That looked like goddamn garbage.
The Lawnmower Man.
Yeah.
No thanks.
Yeah. Now they can make this stuff, and we're getting like a new expanded universe. That, you know, here's the thing I love that they're doing about these films. They're not just ignoring the prequels and trying to reboot them or do some reactionary shit like that. They're not doing what Warner Brothers does. They go, hey, you know what? People didn't like this, whatever. We'll make it cool later on. And it's all through world building.
Yes, well, this battle scares me less than the food Jedi
But
Temple.
anyways, having said that, thanks for coming on again, man. And if you check your phone, I sent you that Freddie Prinze Jr. video where he rants about the Clone Wars. I can't.
I'll check that out.
Yeah, you gotta hear it. It's so fucking good. But no, thanks for coming on, guys. Let us know if you agree with our glowing praise of the Bad Batch, or let us know if you agree that we're stupid fanboys. Do you agree with our overall opinion? Please throw that in the comments